today on 15 on 15.
The Aruba Tourism Authority releases tourism rates for January and February. Plus, sleep deprivation is a chronic issue amongst the Aruban community. Today on 15 on 15, find out what may be the causes and how you can cure it. And the U.S. Marines come to Aruba to learn skills from the Dutch.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of 15 on 15 right here on Channel 15 TV with Daniela Piazzi. Let's get started with our latest local news topics. Over the past 4 years, Aruba's tourism industry has been growing tremendously. 2014, for example, marked the first time Aruba received over 1 billion visitors. Now, 3 months into 2016, the Aruba Tourism Authority has released the official figures for this year's tourism market.
Following a record-setting year of 1.07 million stayover visitors in 2014, the Aruba Tourism Authority has reported total arrivals for the first 2 months of 2016. For the month of January and February, the Aruba Tourism Authority has already seen a positive growth as opposed to last year, with an additional 4.9% of visitors totaling at 9,352 people. Stayover visitors included a 0.1% decrease in arrivals from the U.S. market due to an unusually light winter on the East Coast. The American market usually covers 57.5% of the total tourist market. However, the Latin American market has increased a boost this year. A big factor in this increase of 9.3% is due to the elimination of the Colombian visa. From Europe, in the first 2 months of the year, Aruba has seen an increase of 1%, mainly due to a 17% increase in the newly introduced Swedish market. For cruise ship tourism this year, Aruba has seen an increase of 12.5% compared to 2015. Within just 60 days, the island welcomed 90 cruise ships and over 183,000 passengers.
The Aruba Tourism Authority announced the official number of January and February of 2015 during their 5-year anniversary event. This year, ATA is celebrating 5 years since they have become independent from the Aruban government, and they have been a thriving entity ever since. To commemorate this date, the Tourism Authority held a mix and mingle event for business owners on the island.
Sui Generis was an innovative move as far as public policy and governance, because it turned the Aruba Tourism Authority from a government agency to a unique independent legal entity. This move has played a big role in the positive development of tourism within the past 4 years. According to the Aruba Tourism Authority, 2016 has so far been a positive year and in certain areas, but nevertheless, it will be a year with many challenges to face.
That I can say with honesty that despite the best efforts of everybody that's involved in tourism, 2016 is going to give us an opportunity to test what we're made of. At the end of this year, the strong will survive. And whoever's left standing, that's what's going to take us into the next year. I think that we have a lot of factors that are completely out of the control of Minister of Tourism, they're out of control of ATA, they're out of control of a lot of the hotels. I mean, world events, we live in a global village, we're all aware of that. Situation in Venezuela is a very difficult situation and has been for the retail sector for many years, as well as for the Venezuelan people, which is heartbreaking. We have an election year in the United States where a lot of Americans hold on to their money. Everything is on sale in the United States all of the time. Cost of doing business is greater. Strong dollar against the euro makes the Europeans a little tight with their funds. Same with the Canadians. And of course, the move in tourism towards other accommodation.
Global challenges can drastically affect the tourism market. Therefore, the Aruba tourism entities must be flexible in their marketing strategies to survive. Simply put, if a plan fails, move on to plan B.
The U.S. market is quite strong, and hopefully that will continue. But other markets, particularly Venezuela, in terms of hotel stays, we've seen a lot of Venezuelans move out of the hotels into using other accommodation. And we're seeing other markets as well increasingly use what we call other accommodation. So, I mean, we have to keep a close eye on that. One of the challenges, of course, is that a number of different markets have seen a fall in the value of their currency. Particularly Canada is substantially less than it was this time last year, and also Brazil and Colombia, and that's impacting business as well. But this is something which is not just for Aruba. Other countries in the Caribbean are seeing similar situations, so it's going to be a difficult year, but we hope by the end of the year we'll achieve our objective.
We'll be back with more 15 on 15 after a quick commercial break.
When we come back from the break, find out why you may have sleep deprivation issues.
Thank you for staying with us right here on Channel 15 ETV. Chronic sleep deprivation is a serious problem within the Aruban community. You may not even know it, but this condition could be caused by and can cause serious health issues. Therefore, the Aruban Ministry of Health gathered with top doctors on the island to inform the community of the cause and symptoms of this health condition.
Disruption in sleep can be caused by a variety of issues, from teeth grinding to night terrors. When a person suffers from difficulty falling asleep and or staying asleep with no obvious cause, it is referred to as insomnia. Therefore, the Ministry of Health organized the first conference on sleep disorders to bring a clearer view on the symptoms and causes of these abnormalities. However, in Aruba, the biggest cause for sleep apnea is obesity.
We have been working a lot with especially obese patients, so it's really important for us to understand that sleep disorders is usually related to obesities. And that's a huge problem in Aruba, as you have heard probably, having about 20% of overweight and obese children from the age of 0 to 12 years old and reaching 18 years old. That percentage becomes 40%. And if you take the total population of Aruba, well, I'm not really proud to say, but it's about 80% overweight and obese people. So we have a huge challenge there.
Sadly, on the island, there is not sufficient data to have an accurate statistic of the gravity of this problem.
Part of having patients with obesity, having sleeping disorders, we do have many patients also who has anatomical problems of the jaws, and we cannot really change that because that takes that's a huge operation. It's costly. So being a Minister of Health, I'm a really believer of prevention. So I hope they can teach us more today how we can prevent certain anatomical problems for the future. And at the same time, don't forget, this is just a part of the cake, and the biggest part is by preventing obesity.
Moving forward, this week we have big news from the popular marine theme park, SeaWorld. The company announced that it will be making major changes to its killer whale program immediately. After the release of the major documentary Blackfish, SeaWorld's revenue took a big hit, and they have finally accepted it is time for a change.
SeaWorld's announcement signals the end of an era. Its killer whale breeding program, which produced the theme park's biggest draws, is over. 24 whales in 3 parks. The last generation of orcas SeaWorld will display in captivity.
The reason we think we need to do them now is society is changing. And if you look at people's general comfort level with orcas under human care, I've seen a real shift in society.
That shift picked up momentum after the critical documentary Blackfish. Citing the mistreatment of orcas and the death of trainer Don Brancheau, SeaWorld faced protest. Attendance dropped, revenue plunged nearly $100 million, their stock price cut in half. SeaWorld partnered with the Humane Society to find a solution. Last year, SeaWorld decided to end its trademark killer whale shows, planning for a larger, more natural setting for its orcas.
The new encounters will highlight the plight of orcas in the wild. And
Once the pride of SeaWorld, the parks are now saying goodbye to the whales that made it famous, and the show millions came to see.
SeaWorld has announced that they will not be releasing their orcas into the wild because they will not be able to survive on their own. On average, these whales will be living for well over 30 years, so we will not be saying goodbye just yet. So what will SeaWorld be without its iconic killer whale show? Well, the CEO claims that they are moving into a new direction. We'll be back with more 15 on 15 after a quick commercial break.
After the break, the Dutch Marines in Aruba give strategic training to the American Marine Forces.
Thank you for staying with us right here on Channel 15 ATV. U.S. Marine and sailors recently visited Aruba to train their visit, board, search, and seizure procedures aboard the Royal Dutch naval ship Pelican off the coast of Savaneta. This U.S. Marine team was also on the island to strengthen partnerships with the Royal Dutch forces and increase their overall capabilities for future deployments. Here is a little sneak peek of their training.
The Marine Corps is making a shift back to where it all started, the sea. During the first week of May in Savaneta, Aruba, Marines from Force Reconnaissance Company, 2nd Reconnaissance Battalion, embarked in Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure, or VBSS training, aboard the Royal Dutch naval vessel Pelican.
Today we were performing VBSS training aboard the Dutch naval vessel Pelican. We performed hook and climb procedures, basic tactical deck sweeps, and just started the baseline for our VBSS training that we're going to be performing for the next week.
VBSS is the systematic way in which military forces take over any sized vessel from the sea. By utilizing Dutch Marine Corps rigged-hulled inflatable boats, or RIBs, Marines can come aboard any sized vessel via ladder and take control. The training was assisted by not only the crewmen of the Pelican, but was also overlooked by Dutch forces who have immense real-world experience in VBSS, which helped Force Recon tweak their standard operating procedures as they went along.
The Dutch Marines, they do a lot of real-world missions. They're very active in boarding, in various areas of the world. They're this is part of their realm. This is one of their things that is kind of considered their task, their bread and butter. They're very, very good at it. They bring a lot of past experiences through tactics, techniques, and procedures that they've, worked through and perfected. And it's just very good to share some knowledge with them, share some of our experiences, and learn from some of their operational tasks that they've performed.
After 4 days of basic and advanced VBSS training, the Marines put their knowledge to the test aboard the mortar vessel Panageus in a final culminating event.
I think all the training led up to this was really good. There's a lot of training that we can't always get in the States, and especially working with the Dutch Marines, we got to see, a different side, how they train. They gave us some tips, and I think all the training earlier this week, really helped out.
And as the sun began to rise, the Marines exited the vessel not only completing the objective, but also having refined a skill set that can be employed in future operations.
Thank you so much for watching these real local news updates and trending Aruba topics. Be sure to like our 15 on 15 Facebook and Instagram page for all of the latest news updates. Also, don't forget to tune back in tomorrow night at 10:15 p.m. for more 15 on 15 right here on Channel 15 ATV. See ya then.